Everybody, Patty Ann here. Listen, on my Facebook group, Cutting Up with Patty Ann, we've been doing a weekly card challenge and we're up to week 8. This is the card challenge. This is the card that I came up with. So many people in the group come up with so many fabulous cards. It's really a lot of fun to see it. And what we usually do is we send these to our Cards for Kid charity thing. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to make this quickly in Silhouette Business Edition. So you could use this for your Cricut machine or for your Cameo. So let's get started by going up there to my computer screen. Okay, this is the little guy that I'm going to use. In below or down below this video in the notes part, I will have a link to him so you can grab him yourself. And when you go to grab him, you'll come to a page that looks like this. Hold on, I went too far. Like this. So you'll just look through here, and there he is. Click on him to make him larger. And then since you're using Silhouette Business Edition, all you have to do is right-click on him and say Copy Image, and come back over to Silhouette and say, let's move him over, right-click and paste, and you have a brand new one just like that. So I'll get rid of my original one by deleting on my keyboard. And now he's not ready to be used just like this. We need to trace him because we don't want this white box around him. So to trace him, all you have to do is come over here to all of these panels over here. If you're not sure which one it is, roll over them. And if you stop over it, it will say the name of what the panel is. But the trace panel to me looks like a piece of toast. Some people say it looks like a butterfly. But you click on the trace panel and that opens it up. Then you just say select the trace area and come over here and trace the stuff that you want. Getting a little extra stuff up here that I don't want, and I could try to move this down, but I'll still get a teeny tiny part of it here, but that's not a problem. So I'm going to scroll in and look at the lines and see if they look good, which they do. If they didn't, I could move the threshold up a little bit like that. But they look pretty good, so I'm just going to say trace. I'm going to scroll back out so we can see the whole image. And now I'll be able to pick this white box and just move it off. We don't need it any longer. So now, if you'll notice, here's that thing we don't want right here, right? So I can double click on that, and when I do that, it makes all these little boxes all over everything. And I can get rid of these little boxes easily. One way to do it, hold down your Shift key. If there's a whole bunch of little boxes in the same area that you want to get rid of, hold down your Shift and then just drag a box over them. They'll turn red, which means they're selected, and then you just hit delete on your keyboard. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change the color of this to black. So I come way up here in the upper left hand corner. I'm going to change this to black. And I'm also going to change, notice there's red around here. The red is the line color. I'm going to change that to black as well. Come over here and change it to black as well. One other thing that I like to do when I'm doing print and cuts that I'm going to color with pens, markers, colored pencils, whatever, I like to come over here and change the point size of the line. So I'm going to make the point size go up, and I'd like you to watch the owl and look at the lines and see how they change. Can you see how they're becoming, whoops, darker and darker? Okay, but I usually like mine to only be, so they're still going, I like mine to be 0.50. So I'll hit enter. Here we go. All right. The next thing I need to do is I want to put a nice white offset around him. So to do that, I'm going to click on him to highlight him and then just come over here again to these panels over here. The one that I want looks like a star. If I hover over it, it does say offset panel. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to come up here and just click offset. And it automatically offsets everything in here. I'm going to leave it at the default 0.125 and I'll just say apply. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the line part out of the way because I really don't want this to be blue. I want it to be white. So I'm going to click on it, come up here to the color swatch area and change it white. Now the other thing is, I don't want all these little pieces cut out. So to fix that easily, I come up here to Object, release the compound path, and if you've followed me in the Patreon classes, you know what that does. We release the compound path, that puts boxes around everything in there, and we could go ahead and drag these little pieces off of here, but if I just say right click and weld, it's going to make it one solid piece just like that, and that's exactly what we want. So I can bring this right back over here, and I could grab both of them and come up here and say center. Oops, I did center to page. Let me undo that. Grab both of these and do this one right here. See, this one says center, and this one is center to the page. And that should be pretty straightforward because you can see there's a box around it like that's the page. So you just want the one that's center. And that centered them both together, and then I would group. Okay. Now, to get ready for the card that we're going to do, I'm going to go to File, Merge, and I'm going to grab that card because I have it on my desktop and I have it in Paper Sketches, and this is number 8. So I'm going to click on number 8 to open it. Okay, this is the paper sketch we're going to be working on. All right. So we want him to fit onto a A2 size card. So let me move him over here for a minute. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw out my A2 size card. So I just come over here to the rectangle on the left hand side, click on it, and come over here and just draw a rectangle. Doesn't matter what size because I'm going to adjust it right now. I want that rectangle to be exactly the size of the front of the A2 card. So the front of the card will be a width of 4.25, and I'll hit enter on my keyboard, and a height of 5.5. Okay, and I guess I'll change that to white so that it can show up easily. Okay, now on my card I didn't put an inner border. You see how they have here, they have two colors, one stacked on side of the other, and I actually wish I had done that because I think it makes it look nicer. So maybe I would have made my card I could have made it red like this, and then this is my outside of my real card. I was using red cardstock folded in half. Then what I could do is just click on this and come over here to internal offset. Remember, the offset tool is the one that looks like a star. Click on internal offset and it automatically put an offset there for me. And I could leave it at the default if I want to, which I will. So now I can change this inner offset right here to white because I really like what I did on my card. Let me show you here. If you can see it, I went ahead and I put it through my Cuttlebug, and I put this little tree-like look behind him because he is an owl. All right, so there's that so far. And I would just group these two things together. All right, so maybe I'll make this one about the same size so they look the same while I'm working. Kind of like that. So the next thing I need to do is I just need 3 rectangles. And again, on mine, I did not make mine have a border inside of a border. What I did on mine was I made the outside edges of my cardstock be scalloped. But let me show you. So first you would get a rectangle, and what you could do is just draw over top of this one if you want. It's going to be a little too big probably because I didn't quite size this down as same as that one. Well, let's see how close. All right, that's pretty close. So I can bring this over here and I can make this size. And then I would just hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, which watch what happens to my cursor. It goes from a hand to a plus sign. Drag off another one, do it again, Alt, and drag off another one. On mine, I decided to use primary colors. So this first one I made was a bright blue. So just click on it and come over here and make it a blue. Okay, and there it was this one. So basically it's the one on top, right? One of the ones I made yellow. And then the other one I made red. So when I stacked mine, what I did was this. I took the blue one over and I just rotated it a little bit just so I can get an idea of what this is going to look like. I had the yellow one next and I rotated that. I think I had this one down a little further. I rotated this one a little bit up higher, and you can see why, because theirs is up a little bit higher. If I'm trying to copy theirs, doesn't have to be exact though. All right, there's that and that. And then I'll bring my red one over next, and it just goes like that pretty much. Okay, so let's move this over so it's centered. Okay, so that's all I had to do there. And then I just brought my little owl over because I want to size him so he's going to fit on there nicely. So I'm going to bring him down, and I'm going to right click on him and say bring to the front. So there he is. He's way too big, right? So I got to scroll him down further. And I could color him now if I wanted to, but I'm going to do it with my markers. There's a good size, maybe like that. So you can see the colors underneath of him. And then the next thing, let's group all this together. The next thing that I did was I said, who? So I came over to the text tool, who? W-H-O-O-O-O, who? I guess I did 4, yeah. And I'll change the size of this because I want it to fit. Let's see, that's going to look pretty good. But by the time I put my offsets on, it might be a little too big, but I'll show you that. So what I did first on mine, and I really could put a picture up here. Let's see, file, merge. I have that picture right here somewhere. There he is. Whoops, way too big. Let me make him smaller so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And all right, let me flip him or scroll. You grab this little green thing, and if you hold your shift key down while you're moving it, it'll move and jump to certain things. Like see that jump to straight. Okay, so who, and notice on my who, I have it made out of red text first. So I'll change it to red. And then I added a yellow offset. To do that, I just come over to the offset tool, which is this star, and it says offset panel, and I just say offset. Now I can leave it at the default if I want to, but I think I went ahead and changed it down a little bit smaller. So this is just, again, personal preference. I'll just leave it like that. Who, and I'm going to make that offset yellow. So I come up here and make it yellow. Okay, notice here I have one more offset on this. So I came over here and offset. And I'll leave that at the default, and I'll change that to white. So there's my 3 offsets, and I would just simply group these together. And let's bring it down and see how it's going to be. It might be just a tiny bit too big, so I could scroll it in. And I put mine at an angle like that, just to make it sort of cute. Who? Whoops, I was trying to move this part of the card down, but I had grouped it, so let me ungroup it. Because what I want to do is move these, well, I'll have to move that up. Let's see, who? Okay, that looks pretty cute. So let me group that so far and see how we like it. Who is super sweet. So to do that again, all I did was come to the text tool on the left, is super sweet. And I'll go ahead and color this. So the first one, just like at the top one I did, is red. Whoops, gotta click on it to highlight it and change it to red. Then I offset it by coming to the star, opening the offset panel, offset, and I'll go ahead and make that a little smaller again. Make that yellow, and then I can come over and offset it one more time. And I'll just leave that one at the default. Let's see, those, as long as those are overlapping, that's good. And I'll make it white. And that looks pretty good. So now what I have to do is make it smaller so it's going to fit. Whoopsie daisy. What you got to do before you mess with it is you got to group all of these pieces together. Group. Now I can grab that and make it smaller like that. Who is super sweet? And I really think that's cute. All right, so you could mess around, with the placement of these things more if you wanted to, but you get the idea here. So the next thing that I would do is I would just go, well, let's see. I would just go to send it to be made. See what we get. And if I change this by fill color and undo this. Okay, the first thing I know let's ungroup this. The first thing I know I don't need to do anything with, ungroup again, is this red, because I'm just going to use red cardstock. The white, I can let it cut if I want to, but that's not much of a worry. We could actually cut that with a cutter or whatever. So what we're going to worry about are these things here, this and him, and these are simply cut out of cardstock as well. But if I want to, I could cut these on my machine. But again, that's easy, and y'all probably know how to do that. The confusing part might be this. So what I would do is I would just put this here, and this here, and this here. And the first thing, let's see, what do we got? Okay, this is where I would go. I would go to Simple. I would highlight both of these, and I would say Cut Edge. So what that's going to do, it's just going to cut the outer edge of both of these, and that's exactly what we want. But you're thinking to yourself, I want all these different colors in my Who is super sweet. So what you have to do first is you're going to print this first. So in order to print and cut, you need to go back to the design area and do a couple of things right here. First of all, you have to go to the page setup. You're using the Auto Cameo perhaps, and the media size that I usually use is letter size, or 8.5 by 11, so I changed mine to that. The other thing I must do, since this is a print then cut, I have to turn on my registration marks. Right now they're off. You see this right here? If I click over that, it says registration marks. Right now they're off. I need them to be on. And that shows me where I can put my things where they're not going to get cut off. In other words, if I sent this to my printer right now, this would probably print okay, but when it went to cut, this part was going to get cut off because there's the cutting line. So I need to make sure that all these things are down here underneath where the cutting line is and not overlapping each other. So let's see, I could put that there and like that. Okay, now I never would just do this much here. So what I would probably do is go ahead and duplicate all of these, like grab them all, hold down my Alt key and duplicate it. So I do at least 2 or 3 of these. And then all this extra space that I have right here, what I did was I just went ahead and cut out some other sayings, some other sentiments, just because I don't want to waste my whole cardstock like this. Well, we'll just leave it like this. And if we were going to go send it, it would be sent just like this. And then I would come up here to File, Print, Preferences. On mine, I would change it so that it's a high quality. And I'll do Print Preview just so you can see what it will look like. Say OK. Print. It's going to send it to my machine, and it'll show me a preview of what is going to be printed. And then I'm going to show you how I would send these 2 things over to Cricut Design Space to use them there. Sometimes this print process doesn't take quite so long. Okay, here we go. So this shows what's going to print. You can't really see what's, there is that white outline around here, but we know it's there. We know we put it there. So I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to go back to the design area, and I'm going to take just one of these sets, delete. Okay, right here and here. And I'm just going to draw a line, or draw a selection around them like this, because then I'm going to say File, Save Selection. I don't want all this junk over here off of my mat to be saved. I just want to save right here what I've selected. So File, Save Selection, save it to my hard drive. And now, since I'm saving this for my Cricut machine, I need to save this. Let's see, I'll name this as Card 8 Owl. And I have to save this as a JPEG for Cricut, I guess. And I'm saving it in my desktop. Okay. But I have to save it as a JPEG since it's going to be a print then cut. So I'm going to say OK. Save. Now I'm going to open up Cricut Design Space. Going to go New Project, Upload. Upload an image, browse to my desktop, to the paper sketches, to, let's see, where is it? Maybe at the bottom? Card, yep, here we go. I'm going to say complex, continue. Now what I need to do is I need to take the select and erase tool and get rid of these stuff around them because I don't want that stuff to print. Then I'm going to go continue. This looks good, but I want to print then cut. So I'm going to say save. Then I'll just insert it. And one of the things that you may want to do is to go ahead and resize this. So you'll need to know what size you need it to be. Like I just made this 14 inches wide, which is way too big. So I'd probably want to resize this. And actually, since they both came in together like this, what I might really want to do is to grab a box. So come over here to the shapes, get a square, make the box bigger by unchecking or unlocking it, and then dragging this down. And now if I grab these two things, I can slice. So that lets me slice this guy out so he's by himself. Get rid of this, get rid of this. So now I can just resize him by himself if I know what size I need him to be for my card. Maybe I wanted him to be about 3 inches tall or something, and there he is just like that. So that's how easy it is to do this for Cricut Design Space. How you can easily get really pretty text and put offsets around it. You can't see the offset very well right now, but let me change the color of the canvas for you. Come down here. After you click down here where it says blank canvas, it doesn't look like anything happens, but you can come up here to this little tiny color swatch and change it to something else so you can see. And now you can see there's a white border around this. So you've really made nice offsets. And that's a perfect way to make offsets for cake toppers or cupcake toppers. So anyway, that's how easy it is. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you look down here at my desk one more time, I'll show you the card and just the pieces that we just got done putting together. Okay, here's the card I finished putting together. Hopefully you can see all of the textures that I put on here. I put the little tree texture in the background here, hearts on this one, no, a chevron in this one, hearts and stars. I've pop dotted everything up, and I just quickly colored this for the tutorial today with some markers. They were actually some Sharpie markers because that's all I had available to me right here. And to pop dot them up, I used this stuff that you can get at the Dollar Tree for $1. It's fabulous. You just cut off little pieces and you can pop dot things up like that. So in the inside then, I put the word hue. And as I said, when I was doing mine, I actually cut these on my machine. As I said, you could cut those out with your just any kind of cutter, but I cut a bunch of these out with my Cameo, and I had space left over. So what I did was I cut out stars and hearts. I used the yellow and the blue and the red so that I could decorate inside of here too. So I'll be doing that in a little bit. So again, I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Also, ask questions down below. Check out my links down below. If you're in the market to buy something, purchasing something using my links just gives me a tiny commission, doesn't cost you any more, and it just allows me to keep making more and more videos. So again, thanks you guys. Bye-bye.